Hello, night trap, night trap, night trap, night trap, night trap, night trap, night trap. It's the next day. Hello.
How's that girl doing?
The girl?
Yeah.
Oh, her retardation is cured.
That's the one.
Night trap, night trap, night trap.
And it's back.
Shit.
Damn it. Flew too close to the sun on the wings of curing retardation.
All story-related videos. Complete a perfect
Oh, so that's
game
like
phone
watch Night Trap the movie.
I wonder we should do that on YouTube.
Okay.
After. Yo.
Yo.
Peeps need to get the fuck in here. Whatever, we're starting.
Where is everybody?
Right on, Vicar.
Where are the people? Adam, where are the people?
Shut up.
Adam.
Shut the fuck up.
You're mean in the
Is this over here
morning.
at this point?
Just making adjustments.
Yep.
There we go.
Here we go.
Sorry.
And action.
I find that so extremely offensive.
Yes!
And the
Yes.
only word we can say to the manufacturers and the shareholders of the company is shame on you.
No one has
Shame,
ever
shame,
fucked you,
shame on
Marilyn.
you.
That's why you're mad.
That's
Hold it right there.
Shame
a
on
very
people
insane
that
thing to
produce
say.
that trash.
I don't like it at all.
Mark.
About 2 months ago, I saw the video game Night Trap for the first time. It is a sick,
I saw it.
disgusting
Well,
video game.
I will say, the last one hurts my argument because this guy
That's the guy
definitely
with the drill.
fucks.
Yeah, that is the guy with the drill. But
We mustn't catch him or we don't see the
No.
gratuitous
Guys who
violence.
play a whole lot of video games.
It's
Yep.
an effort to trap and kill women.
An
for
effort
the
too?
first month or so, I would see Tom and I would say, "There is the evil man that made Night Trap," and he'd say, "There is the evil man that made Night Trap." But it was a joke for a while. Then the joke started
Rob's
getting
cool.
serious until a friend of my family's called me and said, "Hey, did you know Captain Kangaroo?"
Hey, those guys did
came on
9/11.
TV today and said that Night Trap was a bad game.
The danger arises when the subject
Holy
of the
shit, it's Captain
software
Kangaroo.
is of a violent nature.
And that's where it got
How
very
could you
serious
betray me
for
like
I love
that?
Captain Kangaroo.
Well, I mean, God, it was on the front page of USA Today. It was on the front page of the
Let us know if the
Washington
audio's
Post,
too
it was
loud
on
or not.
The front page of the New York Times. It was so new, it was so revolutionary at the time that it first came out that it was ideal fodder for somebody who wanted to use it as
Revolutionary is
a political hand
strong.
grenade.
Your bullets can't hurt me.
Video game mayhem.
And when we see the new generation of video games, and especially
Gun.
Sir, was someone just holding up a gun in the Senate?
in my judgment, they've gone to
Real gun good, fake gun bad.
My son and I, Tyler, who's 11 now, we went to rent a movie. And the gentleman said to me, he says,
It-
"Hey,
and
they're
she's
not, they took your game
dead
off the
now."
market." And I said, why? He said, well, obviously there's a bunch of controversy behind it. And I said, oh, really? And that's how I heard. It's not violent, you know, in any sense. They don't. It's
Yeah,
not
really.
violent. It's not gory. It's not anything like that at all.
Yeah, did they show clips in the
And
Senate
object of
hearing?
the game
Like,
is to save
I was gonna
the
say,
girls
did
that
they
go
show
in
clips and
for
people
the slaughter
laughed?
party. Way to go, Control! I knew you could do
that they
it.
were having
Our
a
state
Senate
of
hearing
mind.
about this bullshit?
what was that?
About creating
Oh
that
my-
a censor?
Oh my god, Dana, the blonde woman, Dana Plato, and her son both killed themselves.
How many Augs
Oh.
can we trap in the
Oh.
house?
The guy from the New York Times called me and he said, "We hear these terrible things are happening." That was like one of the first phone calls I got, that these games are really violent and people, you know, are really up in arms about them. And I was saying, have you seen Night Trap?
Did
They're the
yeah?
opposite.
Did
Right?
anyone
Evil
look
Augs.
at the
They
game?
are evil. You can just tell by the way they're hopping along.
I'm afraid the Augs
That's
aren't our
ableist.
biggest problem.
True.
The horrible sex and violence scene is in the bathroom. Right here, X marks the spot. This is where Lisa gets it.
I would love
There's
for
also
Lisa
no
to get it.
sex and very minimal
So I
violence.
guess
Yes.
This is the scantily clad part. And there's, you know, an Aug in the shower. I mean, it was funny. You could hear people laughing on the set because it is.
I don't see why
it would be titillating.
Maybe the Og
I
shouldn't
had
have
on
beat
a
off, and all
spaghetti
of
strap
this could have been
nightgown.
avoided.
It was cute. It was peach. I think it had little flowers here.
Wonder if she's
The
alive.
whole sort of reason for having that thing that goes around the neck of the kids that get nailed was to make it something that was sort of so phantasaical and something so non-replicable that there wouldn't be any chance that anybody could mistake it for reality.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think you guys did a good job at that, actually.
A controversial scene.
This is actually the reason why there's ratings on video games now.
That's
We
crazy.
prefer self-regulation to government regulation, but make no mistake about it, we will move ahead if you do not.
The one good thing that came from Night Trap is that it created a rating system for titles.
Good?
Yay!
I flew to Washington to go to these hearings. In the morning of the hearings,
Finally.
They announced to us, they told me, gee, you know, we're really sorry. Thanks so much for coming. We're really sorry, but we decided that there isn't any time to hear your testimony today.
What?
And then at some point in the hearings, Dorgan is reading from, he says, yeah, and it's a shame Mr. Zito couldn't be here to defend this horrible filth that this company is putting out. I said, Senator.
I'm here.
I am here, and I'd be happy to talk about it. You're out of order.
That's very funny. Points
That's
to the
amazing.
Senate on that one. That's a good.
Wow.
That's a good bit.
TV reports that the object of the game was to kill and rape.
That's so
sexy
corrupt.
co-eds.
There was absolutely no sex.
Sex? I mean, unless you're attracted to large, dark objects that
I
go like
mean,
there wasn't any.
Maybe don't judge me.
Hey,
Actually,
you see where she just bumped into
His penis touched her asshole.
The daughter
At
of
the
that
end of the hearings, I
senator,
walked up to Lee
Anita
and I said,
Sarkeesian.
Oh, it all makes sense.
have you ever actually played this game? And he said, I don't have to. This is filth.
I don't have to.
And
I
I
heard
think that
stuff,
Night Trap was
and
kind
now
of
we're making laws forever about
bait,
it.
Like, here, have this one.
We're old.
We're old.
Thanks for the sub, JC Baltimore.
On a
J.C.
Nintendo system.
Balter, man.
Obviously, it would not pass our guidelines.
You know, when all this TV coverage was going on, I was
Night
on a
Trap.
TV show, and when I needed the Night Trap footage, it was Nintendo that was like, oh, we'll send it to you.
Howard, I owe all the sales of Night Trap to you.
Want to sell something to 16-year-old boys? Get it banned by Toys R Us.
This guy rocks.
Yeah.
You know, you can't keep enough of a supply at the warehouse.
That's so
I've had
funny.
some
Yeah.
controversy in my life, and I just found it interesting that there was some controversy behind this also. But it's like this dark cloud, you know?
They're calling it the
It bothers
Streisand
me.
effect. Like when in 1978 they said that Barbara Streisand's pussy was dried up and no one could fuck her anymore. Then everyone wanted to fuck her.
And I'm going to say, great. You know, is it Wirehead? Is it this new show? And no, Night Trap, the classic, the great.
Night Trap.
You know, we want to get the behind the scenes of Night Trap.
Night Trap.
Now you're pulling this stupid binder out.
Say it again. Say it again. Say it one more
You know,
time.
Every 5 years, going. Yeah,
Night
well,
Trap.
We had a lot of
Baby
fun.
night.
Night Trap.
Hit song.
That was a funny freeze frame.
That was great. It's
Thanks. I guess you'll have to rate me as the player now. Because that's the objective of the game, is to
Correct.
kill and rape women, obviously. Ah, I'm trapped and it's night.
Tell these guys to stop bugging me.
Stop fucking me.
Hey, stop fucking me. Hot set. Oh, he got one of them long tongues. Gene Simmons type.
Meow, 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 Night Trap. I like how they decided to do this.
This is very
Little
fun.
Benny Hill.
These guys had fun. Good for them.
Every room is a rape dungeon.
Oh, yeah.
IRL. Dangerous Games achievement unlocked. Oh. Yeah, okay. So, let's see. We can... Hold on. I want to... How do I do that? How do I do that? How do I do it?
Why bitch gotta lie?
What bitch gotta lie? Did I do it? Yeah, I did. Okay, there we go. I'm just leaving one of these display capture. There we go.
Yes, people really used to look like that. What if the answer was no? What would that entail?
A trick. All right. So when you say this is the link to the Senate hearing, or like we won't find it in the special features, should we save this one for last because there's a few other videos on the game. Let's go through the game first. Because we haven't watched everything here.
My name is Jim Riley, and I was
and I'm a sexual offender.
Writer.
There's a furry.
I was gonna say there's a fox man in the background, and I would like to learn more about him and less about Night Trap.
Uh-oh, spooky.
Turn it off. I'm scared already. Don't
We're in
like it.
widescreen now.
Mid-'80s. Nintendo is doing very well with their video games.
Tell me about that fox.
Mario Brothers type stuff. Sega is doing pretty well. I was working with
What the fuck was Sega doing in the mid-'80s? The Master System? Get out of here. It's trash.
Advertising and interactive retailing campaigns. And I got a call from a guy who...
that computer looks like mine.
Actually, my neighbor, Rob Fulop, who had developed Demon Attack and a number of Atari games. And he knew of a guy named Tom Zito working at another company that had actually been presented. There was a guy, an engineer who came in with this wafer that allowed
it is only a wafer
then VCR and be able to interact with the video cartridge as your video source, but you could interact up to 4 choices at any one time. And they were trying to figure out what to do with it. So Rob knew that I had a background in live action interactive and introduced me to Tom. Tom wanted to put together some demos to take to Hasbro. And they said, so this is a relatively inexpensive addition to a VCR. And if we provide this enhancement, we can actually get into the video game business and allow us to compete. That's significant revenue. And now we're in the living room. We all came up with ideas, and my focus was more about the
sex and violence
environments where you could go anywhere at any time or feel as if you could move more freely. One of the easiest ways to think of that is surveillance cameras. The first demo we did was Scene of the Crime to kind of play test the idea of being able to move around through surveillance cameras and see how interesting that was. So in Scene of the Crime, the basic idea is that this wealthy man has a safe full of money in his library, and he has this new
system. Money
where
safe.
You, the participant, is the security guy, and he tells you to please watch the safe, and if anybody tries to break in, he wants to know about it.
Watch them with the cameras. If anyone tries anything, I want to know about it.
Then
you fuck him up.
Move around the house.
You take this knife
to try to follow what's going on. Of course, everybody has a plot to steal the money, so you're trying to figure out who's involved, how it happens, and then after a 3 to 5 minute quick period, sure enough, somebody stole the money. The lights were out. It was hard to tell exactly who it was. You couldn't just sit in the room to figure it out. And then he says, "Okay, who did it?" And then you guess. So really simple concept, but 4 of us flew back to Hasbro, pitched it to Stephen Hasenfeld and a boardroom of 22 executives. That
Hasbro, of course, stands for Stephen Hasenfeld and his bros.
To start what became Digital Pictures.
DP!
They said, okay, we want to do a title that uses this. And at that point, I was working on a number of other things, but I felt like surveillance cameras is great, but to have more effect on what happens, rather than just an observer, looking at what's going on, if we could create some device that allowed participants to feel more engaged and be able to subtly change the story. Again, not branching or changing the ending, but in fact, be able to do something and watch how the story changes. And have to play it multiple times to really understand the subtleties of
Or
that.
just once if you're really good at games.
The traps, which could be done even within this very limited environment.
And I think our eureka moment was making the traps gay.
Everybody started to realize, wow, this is tricky stuff. Part of it is that there was never a real formula. Hasbro decided that it didn't want to move forward. They began, I think, to understand that this is a significant investment. This is like starting a studio. We all went away, 1989, and then in 1992, Tom negotiated a deal with Sega, who had come up with the Sega CD, which was just powerful enough to stream. Back then, it's Donkey Kong, it's Mario Brothers, really simple pixelated graphics.
Leisure Suit Larry.
All of a sudden, there was this option to play or experience a live-action interactive world that was all photoreal with real people, et cetera. So that I think was the initial
beautiful
excitement.
144p.
And so when the Sega CD came out, everybody was just
awesome.
hats and horns, and this is fantastic.
I love the
and
look.
We can interact with this. And we had a number of really interesting people that were experimenting, is really the best way to say it, with this sort of new platform. Not quite sure.
It literally is less than 144p.
And everything from writers who were, having constructive arguments about interactive narrative, which is very tricky, right? A lot of people will say, we don't want people to look the wrong way or we want to control their experience and to give this to novice or non-filmmakers, it goes against everything that they've been trained to do. The other side of that is the game, is a video game. And a video game, a really good video game, is you have full control. You're actually, the world is very believable, full of fascinating characters, and you're motivated to do a number of things to achieve whatever the goal is.
I was motivated to do a couple things.
But it's a high level of interactivity, right? And that's more important than the believability of your environment, right? So those are the two extremes. Even back then, those were the two extremes. But there was this funny gray area, and nobody quite knew what to make of it. We called it FMV or live action interactive or whatever those things were. We'd bring in a writer, a director,
Funky Monkey Videos,
a game designer,
nice,
a software programmer. There were all these different
Funky Monkey
people
vagina
sitting around a table, speaking completely different languages, having very different sensibilities, trying to find some common ground. The first concept was to take the sort of wealthy guy and, with a safe full of money to the extreme. So it was a billionaire who had, Fort Knox in his house.
Oh?
House in Lake Tahoe.
Is that what was happening?
Able to do this.
Yes.
And leave, knowing that he had this next generation security system, which included the latest surveillance cameras and also this
Scat.
These traps and gadgets that would allow
special cats and tigers.
Would allow the 24/7 security team to be able to trap any potential intruders.
How about you stop them before they get in the house?
So it happens one weekend, his daughter shows up for a slumber party with all of her teenage friends.
I'm so glad we're watching this
And
because
this is great.
The house
you can understand.
Attacked by ninja burglars. And the
Who
reason
are
NBs?
also
I
vampires.
thought ninjas would be the cool approach would be that they move in the shadows.
Ninja burglars, the real
It's a really
NBs.
simple, clean concept that could be refined and really have an edge to it.
And then we said,
look
dude,
and stuff,
Night
and you
Trap.
end up with this thing that is a combination of bad notes over time. And somehow it went from ninjas focused on getting the money, and the girls being able to, they were sort of not the key, but they were very much caught in the mix to vampires. There was this thing called reproducible violence. It's the first time I had heard that term, but it turns out to be a very real thing. And Hasbro in particular was very concerned about that. So
now these kids are turning their eyes green and biting each other. It was a mess.
And they said, no, we don't want to see, vampires biting the girls. So these were toothless vampires, and they could not move too quickly.
They could only give you gummers.
So they actually had to be kind of sick. So they had to be toothless, sick vampires. It just kept getting worse. And the Og
That's so
term
funny.
came because they really needed blood, and the only way they could get it was to auger in with a device like the trocar. That cleared as a non-reproducible violence. I thought that in our effort to homogenize this thing and make it more friendly and less scary, it actually was pretty creepy in terms of these, strange characters walking around with the trocar. In this case, the script writing was so bizarre because you had to do two things. You had to create a world, then you had to navigate within that world. You had technical limits of what you could actually do, but you were cheating that to make it look like you could do anything. So that was a whole thing. And then for the moments, you could write a scene, but the scene had to motivate somebody to go somewhere else. But the script was not 120 pages. The script was like this, right, with a timeline there. And people were going, how do I read this? It's kind of like,
Yeah.
I'm here and what. Because everything was, by the way, time, right? Because you only had that much time for the scene. So blocking was very different. Rather than sitting down with the actors and saying, what's the intent here, and should you walk over here, and where should you? It was like, okay, we got. You have 24 seconds. So how do we block this where you're going to end up going out the door, but it's got to look natural, right? Yeah. And you got to be out that door in 18 seconds, because in 18 seconds you're going to appear in the hallway.
You got to move your ass.
I walked around with a timeline. I think it became sort of a joke, which is, where are we now? And I
it is awesome.
Take the timeline out.
Yeah.
And it had 8 tracks, right? 4 at any one time with stills, and I would be able to figure out. So it was tricky. That we shot days and nights, sets and locations. I was surprised at how quickly everybody got into it. Right? It wasn't difficult for them to go, oh, I get it. Okay, so I'm going to be here, but I could be over there, and then depending on what happens with the Og here, I might. And they got into it, and in some cases they adjusted their performance accordingly, which was a wonderful surprise. We didn't have a lot of money to cast name talent and that sort of thing.
So it got a bunch of lesser actors who all killed themselves between 1992 and 2017.
Because Nintendo bullied them.
Victor, you monster. Come on, let's go. We don't want to upset the augurs.
All the Augs were stunt guys with trash bags taped to them. But
I know you are, but what am I? A garbage man.
They had to be in a position where they were balanced, right? Because when they drop through the floor, they've got to be able to do it. How do you move? You do this. So that became the Og walk. We had to figure out in the shooting
Og walk
how to be most economical. So we generally shot out each environment. The bedroom was one of the first sets we shot, and the lobby or the foyer was one of the last. But most of the continuity, there were so many other issues that continuity like that is the least of anybody's concern.
This guy is really wigged out.
Trying to create an environment where the cast, and to some degree the DP and the lighting guys, really could participate as if they were making a movie. there were other technical restrictions. They were very nervous about things that were too dark. I mean, the way it was originally envisioned was that it was really cool and edgy. And it turned out to be super bright because they were concerned that if it got too dark, that it would pixelate too much. Because the technology was so new and we were right at the edge. What was interesting is we shot Night Trap on 35 millimeter. In fact, Don Burgess was the DP and went on to do Forrest Gump. And
wow.
Not that Night Trap launched his career. I mean,
It
Don
did.
Burgess, brilliant DP, is having to essentially light
Don
the room
Burgers,
like everything's got
DP.
neon lights. And we were all unhappy about that. But at the same time, it's the first time it's being done, right? And there were a lot of people involved, and everybody was making their best guess. The shoot was tricky. We shot days and nights, sets and locations. The post was very tricky. I ended up using, I think it was Ediflex at one pass. It was the only way to cut this because what you end up with, it's a puzzle, right? So think of it as, a 3D chess game where you're trying to figure out, okay,
Did
I got a
Night Trap
little piece
invent
right
3D
there,
chess?
And I got a piece that ties into that. In spite of all of this, it was a title that became very popular with a lot of people, I think primarily because it was one of the first to have real characters, in a real photoreal world.
Sarah, we're in this huge house with all your friends. We have telephones, we have a car.
We have
your
tight
parents
pants.
are gone, and you say so?
Come on, Sarah, what's the first thing you think of?
Party.
We'd gone through a 3-year period with Hasbro where we looked at the marketplace, we did a ton of play testing, and I don't think it was ever clearly resolved what this thing was. And in fact, when it was ported over Sega CD, I felt more concerned. Yes, it was being released, but it was being released on a game platform. And sure enough, everybody was going, well, this isn't really a game. I mean, this is an interesting thing, and it's fun.
It's not a bowl.
And for a lot of people, they didn't need a heavy interaction. So the live action, real
practice
was more
It's not a game.
Interesting, at least for a period of time.
It's not a game. It's fucking practice.
Night Trap goes out, and still a new market. Nobody quite knows what's going on, and I don't think the sales were that great. And then all of a sudden, there's a Senate hearing on violence.
Eugene Provenzo.
And Night Trap is one of the premier and I'm just saying,
free advertising.
Yep.
That's so funny.
I mean, because by that time, we had homogenized it down to the simplest things. The only thing that was probably the most violent was the trocar in the bathroom scene.
How about when he was beating off right
This
before
isn't
this
gonna
scene?
work. You're not scaring me. Wait. What are you doing now?
If you saw the Senate hearing, what it looked like is somebody had just edited out the most violent things from different games, including Night Trap, and put it
Kano
together
wins.
and showed it to these guys.
Fatality.
Who, of course, most likely never played video games, so they didn't really
Not a
understand
chance.
the market.
No.
But what they thought is, my 8-year-old kid is being trained to kill people.
Groomed
If
even?
you talk to the kid, he'd go, what are you talking about? This is like not a big deal. So I think
Yeah, also you're incentivized to
they were selects
keep them
that were
alive.
made, including
Yeah.
the trocar scene in the bathroom of Night Trap. They said, not only is this violence, not only are you promoting violence to our kids and somehow subconsciously turning them into, violent criminals.
Worked on me.
Kids should read the Bible.
But
That has
because
no
No
violence in
violence.
it.
Violence
It's
free.
actually
Yeah.
more scary. Up till that time, it was pixelated graphics. And when it became real, I think everybody thought, oh my God, now this is really bad. I don't think there was a lot of understanding of what was going on in the business.
I'm only showing my kids
I
The
don't
Passion
think
of the
that Night
Christ.
Trap
Yeah.
The least violent movie.
Very tame.
games that were out
Made by a cool guy.
was that
I only show my kids movies made by cool
It did have
guys
its
with
moments,
no
and
violence.
when you, just like anything, once you take those things and you put them together, you can make anything look like the worst horror film you've ever
Girl
seen.
suck.
Yeah.
But
Passion of the Christ.
Because
gun
two things
self-defense
happened.
for
One
women.
is sales of Night Trap just went through the roof, and then they came up with the rating system.
That's so funny.
irony
What rating did
is
Night
that
Trap
Night
get?
Trap
Did they
is still on the
retroactively?
list
Triple
of
X.
most violent games. You know, and you look at what's out there. I mean, there's no comparison. You know,
That's
the shower
insane.
Scene, it's not even a shower scene, but the bathroom scene with the
Fuck
troll car,
politicians.
It looks pretty gruesome when you do the close up and you see the drill going into the neck, and I get that. At least back then, it was considered to be pretty gruesome. But
Not anymore.
You know, for some people, you have to look at the Oggs as kind of sad.
They're just trying to live. Their
High
skin
five.
is falling off their bones.
The high five is so funny.
It was a sick high
What's
five.
happening now is it's worth bringing back Night Trap and some other things, just because there are a lot of people that would love to see it in better resolution, and I don't know where the film is. I mean, fortunately, I made a copy of the original timed masters.
Good.
And
It would have been
those,
crazy to find the film
were again
instead of a
timed
tape,
for
but
this unknown world. So everything's bright, but even then, you're going to see
Thank you, Sleeping
a
Beauty.
lot more contrast and a lot more detail
Sleeping
than you did for the
Beauty.
Sega CD. I'm hoping that the fans of the game
Yeah.
will actually have
tape works fine for what it is.
a newer, fresher
Yeah.
experience.
It would be crazy to have
with
film,
the
but
resolution change. I'm also very interested.
It's supposed to be security
in
tape
people
anyway.
That have never
Yeah,
been
like
in this
the old version looks more like security tape.
and don't think of it as a game, and don't think of it as a movie, but think of it
Movie
as
game.
live action interactives. Today, you say interactive, and it's like, yeah, so what? You know, what specifically do you mean? Your computer's interactive, right?
Yeah.
So
Shut up.
back then,
Idiot.
it was people didn't understand when you said interactive. They really didn't know what that meant.
I can't hear anyone say
Or
back
they
then
have
after
very
Hans Zimmer drunk
different
interview where he's like,
ideas
back
about
then.
So in
No, I
some
just
ways,
only think of
that
that.
part of it, I
He
think
said
is
it
gonna be
twice in
fun.
this. It just never ends. MyLifeInGaming.net. It's just clopping images. Timeline.
Scoot, their outfits are so cute. How did you dress back then? I don't know. I was waiting to be born for another 20 years.
He was born in 2012.
The Mayans predicted it.
Both endings in Scene of the Crime to unlock.
Oh, yeah, we
timeline.
unlocked it.
Scene of the Crime. Oh. Okay. That's cool.
You have to get everyone bitten.
Complete a perfect game. Wow. Okay. So, we will watch a perfect game on YouTube, I think is the way to do this. Let's try that. And we'll do the Senate hearing and stuff after. I just want to... Let's see. Perfect Playthrough 25th Anniversary Edition. Oh, it's on the PS4 Pro for the 25th.
Sick.
It's not just Steam. That's cool.
Massive release.
Perfect game, all rooms simultaneously? How does that work? Oh. Okay, hold on. Night Trap Perfect Cut Full Movie. Is that one of the... No, it's not.
I mean, theater in the game option, I think, is basically the movie.
Watch All Star. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna see what a couple of these are.
Although if
Hold
it's
on.
like put together, that's easier.
I mean, I wouldn't mind skimming through some of this first, actually.
Sure.
Because we missed. If this is a cut that has like some good information in it.
I love information. TP. J. Bill Jones is a funny name.
They're using the wine
house as a cover.
Got going for it.
So we saw this. And then we had her at the beginning being weird.
Girls do be weird.
I know how it can be, Tony. I was young once too. Sorry. And Sarah's coming in with 6 more tonight.
6? Yep.
The problem is Sheila and I might have to make a delivery.
That's no problem. Tony and I can handle it.
I'm not so sure.
These have to go too.
No, you and Tony are very
Whoa,
stupid.
Whoa, what's this? This is special vintage.
Oh, Jeffrey, don't be so selfish. Think of the poor, starving augurs.
So is that blood?
Auger, please.
Vintage blood?
It's vintage blood. Canonically.
That's so. There's so many outside.
Yeah, there's really a lot.
I never saw it. I couldn't see what was happening on that screen. It was so dark.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice they were there before. Oh, that's so cool. That was in the same shot. I had no idea.
Check out the boat.
I am so embarrassed.
I got the boat.
This isn't exactly what I imagined, though.
Has anybody seen my chamois bag?
Chamois.
I think it's chamois.
Shamu.
I think she's saying it wrong.
They're here.
Am I crazy? It's like a kind of goat or sheep hair, right?
You with me, Control? We're going.
I wonder if this is an official edit or a fan edit. I wonder
Good
if
question.
Like,
Good question.
Because this is edited together really well.
Afraid you decided not to come.
For like what it is.
Oh, no way. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Sarah, this is beautiful by the lake.
Looks like a healthy bunch.
Yes, it should be a good weekend.
It is a fan
We must
edit.
visit the Oggs tonight. I'd much rather stay here and enjoy our new guests.
Now, Victor, we can't forget about the poor augurs.
Oh, you and your charity work is beginning to be much too much. Come, let's visit the girls.
I don't understand.
Hi, Megan. Oh, come on, everyone. I want you
Is
to
he
meet my
drinking
friends.
blood?
Yes.
So these are your lovely new friends from the shopping
So
mall.
that's a vampire.
Yeah.
I want you to meet Cindy.
And I'm sorry, these are new friends from the shopping mall? Is that what they said?
Lisa. Hi. Her little brother, Danny. What's up?
What's up?
And, oh, and Kelly. Nice to meet you, Mr. Martin.
Please, call me Victor.
Enchanté.
Ow, you bit me.
Ow.
Sorry.
This is my wife, Sheila.
Come on, everyone. Let's
Sheila.
Are you from the shopping mall too?
That's weird, Eddie. He's just one of the neighbors. He's really cute down.
That's weird, Eddie. Don't touch him.
He'll be in jail one day.
He'll rape you.
What's the matter with you anyway? I don't know. Bored, I guess. Bored.
It'd be funny if, like, 20 years from now, they find an Easter egg in the original Night Trap, and it's like full frontal
Yes.
penetration, and it's like, oh,
Covered in
they
blood.
were right. Congress were the real gamers all along.
Oh, just leave your bags there for now and bring the groceries this way into the kitchen.
Groceries. Groceries. I guess it should be groceries.
Groceries.
Oh, no, thank
I don't know why I SH it. That face is always so good. I love it.
He's really wigged out.
So, Vampire is getting robbed?
What?
Like, well, what are the other... so, wait. Oh, yeah. Wait, but so why do they change the security system then? The Vampire does that, don't they? They change the security system.
They do.
So, but they said the augurs are coming, so they're in on it, right? But then why are they changing the security system?
They have a complicated relationship with the augurs.
Why is it locked? Danny!
They just want to go deliver shit to the augurs elsewhere and leave them be and be left be themselves.
Oh, homemade
but the augurs are greedy.
Oh, okay. She says homemade cherry popsicles. So she didn't just randomly...
Okay, she didn't just eat a thing that looked like blood with
Okay.
no other information.
That's great. Dun, 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 dun. Hey.
That's just the basement. Let's go see the boats.
I think the 90s ended in like 03, I think.
What's wrong?
I think by 2005 the 90s had
The
ended.
90s ended on September 11th, 2001. And it was
Not a
time
bad
for
one.
all of us to grow up.
Come on, let's go. We don't want to upset the augurs.
Blood drink.
Blood drink.
Hi, Eddie. Bye, Eddie. Need to drop by, Eddie. Oh, and let us know when you want to die, Eddie.
Nice.
What the fuck?
Nice.
So he's just a weird neighbor.
I like threatening weirdos.
Who just hangs out outside their house.
Yeah.
Make sure that
I'll murder
Sarah's
you.
relaxed and separated before you begin, or they'll get away.
The 90s ended in 2017. For me, anyway. I was still rocking it.
Absolutely.
Let's go and get everything ready.
Had your members only jacket. I guess that's more of an 80s thing, actually.
I just gotta make a break in the recording for YouTube, sorry.